Showed up to the family New Year's Patry, but MOM said, "Sorry, you have the wrong office." Stunned, I left. Minutes later, my brother called. "Don't be mad, but we couldn't let you in." I said, "Understood." He forgot to hang up. He still thinks funding our business means he's automatically included. I canceled rent, blocked cards, and by morning, 61 missed calls. It hit me the second she opened the door. That flat, polite expression that didn't match the warmth of the home behind her. A soft smile, just a touch forced. Like I was a stranger selling something she didn't want. "Sorry," my mother said, as if we hadn't spoken just a week ago. "You must be mistaken. My name is Marcus Wilkins. I'm 36, a mechanical engineer out of Denver. I make a good living, travel often, and for better or worse, have been the one patching the holes in my family's roof for over a decade." I blinked, stunned, standing there on the front porch with snow biting at my collar and a bottle of wine tucked under one arm. "Mom, it's me." Her eyes softened for half a second. "No, I don't think so." Then the door eased shut, slow and deliberate. The click of the latch was louder than it should have been. I stood still for a few moments, just blinking at the door like maybe it would open again, that she'd laugh and say it was all a joke. The porch light buzzed above me. Somewhere in the distance, fireworks popped faintly. New Year's Eve. Through the frost-lined window, I saw them. Everyone. Inside. Ezra, my younger brother, holding court near the fireplace, his wife tucked under his arm like a throw pillow, and Jackie swirling her wine. Uncle Greg laughing, red-faced. The cousins I used to build snow forts with now sipping champagne and dodging toddlers, all of them glowing in warm light, and I was outside in 12 degrees. I stared at the scene for another second. Then I knocked. Nothing. Another knock. A little harder this time. My breath fogged up the glass. The door didn't budge. My hands trembled, and not just from the cold. I pulled out my phone, hit call on Ezra's name, which sat near the top of my recent calls. He answered on the third ring. "Yeah, hey, I'm at the door." Silence. "You gonna let me in?" I asked, trying to keep my voice level. Ezra sighed. "Look, man, I don't know what to tell you. This isn't a good time." My throat clenched. "What are you talking about? You showing up? It's kind of a buzzkill. Mom said it'd be better if we kept tonight. Low stress." I didn't say anything, just stared at the glowing party behind frosted windows. Ezra continued. "We talked about it. Me, Mom, and Jackie. It just felt easier this way. Cleaner. So you all agreed not to invite me." He didn't deny it. I closed my eyes and swallowed hard. "Why?" He hesitated. "You always make things heavy, Marcus. You bring this energy. It's not personal." I laughed, one short bitter sound. "Of course it's not personal. Just a unanimous vote to exclude me." "I gotta go," Ezra said quickly. "Happy New Year, though." He hung up. I stared at the phone in my hand, then slipped it into my coat pocket and stepped back from the porch. Inside, Ezra was laughing again, like nothing had happened. They hadn't just forgotten to invite me. They made a choice, and they weren't even trying to hide it. I sat in my car with the engine running, watching my own breath swirl in the cold air. The farmhouse was still visible in the rearview mirror, warm light spilling from the windows, the occasional silhouette moving past the curtains. My family, my blood, the people who decided I wasn't welcome. I gripped the steering wheel with both hands, trying to steady them. Not from the cold this time. That part had settled in. What I felt was something else entirely, a kind of shaking that came from deep inside, the kind you only feel when something finally snaps. They shut me out, on purpose. And for what? Because I bring energy? Because I make things heavy? No, they did it because they could. Because for years, I taught them that no matter what they did, no matter how much they ignored, dismissed, or outright used me, I'd still show up. With money, with time, with silence. Not tonight. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. Ezra's name was still linked to the joint business account I helped him set up last spring. I funded his startup, a social media analytics tool he barely touched, with a clean 10 grand to get him off the ground. He hadn't made a single dollar since. I hit Manage Access, Remove User, Confirm, Gone. Next, I opened the autopay list. One by one, I started scrolling through them. Mom's gas card. I'd set it up when the old Ford started breaking down and she didn't want to drive to the grocery store anymore. Cancel autopay. Done. The rent payment I'd been making on Ezra's behalf? He told me he just needed help for a couple of months. That was 8 months ago. Cancel scheduled payment. Done. The water bill I'd been covering for the farmhouse after Dad passed? That one hurt. But only because I remembered how fast Mom said yes when I offered to help. Not once did she offer to take it back. I scrolled through the rest. School supplies for the nieces. Streaming subscriptions. A random Venmo request from Aunt Jackie marked for the pies that I had blindly accepted a week ago. All of it. I tapped and swiped and tapped again. Each cancellation felt like letting go of a rope I'd been dragging behind me for years. I could breathe again. Not easier, not yet, but differently. That's when the phone started buzzing. First it was Ezra, then Mom, then unknown number, which probably meant Aunt Jackie. The voicemails came quick, piling up one after the other. "Hey Marcus, something's up with the gas card. Can you check it?" "Marcus, the rent didn't go through." Ezra's freaking out. "Hey honey, your name isn't showing on the business account anymore." "Did you mean D?" I let them roll in. Sat in the quiet of my car with my fingers locked around the steering wheel and the heat humming softly. My chest ached, not from sadness anymore, but from release. Like something had finally broken open and there was no stuffing it back in. They wanted a life without me? Okay, let's see how well that goes when my name disappears from every corner of theirs. The apartment was too quiet. No hum of voices in the next room. No phone ringing. Just the low buzz of the fridge and the occasional groan of old pipes. I sat on the couch, still in the coat I'd worn to the farmhouse, staring at the wall like it might offer an answer. The voicemails had stopped after midnight. Maybe they'd given up for now. Or maybe they were just regrouping, waiting to launch their next round of guilt bombs. Either way, I didn't care. Not tonight. Tonight, I was busy remembering. It started with a birthday. Mine, about 5 years ago. I turned 31, fresh off a promotion, and drove 2 hours to see the family. When I walked into the kitchen, they were laughing over cake crumbs. My sister's youngest had blown out the candles on a cake meant for her. Not me. Oh shoot, Mom had said when she saw me. I thought you weren't coming. She handed me a store-brand cupcake still in its plastic shell. No candle, just a shrug. That should have been the first sign. Then there were the family photos. I always took them. Christmas, Easter, Ezra's baby shower, didn't matter. I had the good camera, so they'd hand it to me with a smile and say, make sure we get everyone in. And somehow, everyone never included me. One year, they posted a family collage on Facebook. 20 photos. I wasn't in a single one. And the holidays? I was always the first to arrive. Fixed the leaky sink in the guest bathroom one Thanksgiving while Mom complained about how no one else in this house knows how to handle basic plumbing. She didn't say thank you, but she did send me home with a Tupperware full of mashed potatoes and an expired gift card to a gas station that no longer existed. She once told me, "You're so self-sufficient, Marcus. You don't need gifts." Like it was a compliment. Like not needing anything made me less deserving of care. I leaned back on the couch, arms crossed over my chest, the weight of years finally settling in. It wasn't just one night. It wasn't just New Year's Eve. It was every quiet dismissal, every guilt-laced favor, every time they looked right through me until their bills came due. And I let them. For years, I told myself I was being generous, that it was love, that family helped family. But love doesn't feel like a transaction. Love doesn't make you invisible until the car payment bounces. I scrolled through my texts, all the little proof points I had ignored. Can you spot us until next Friday? Do you mind taking a look at the kitchen leak? Gas card stopped working. Did you forget again? Not once did they ask how I was. Not once did someone say, hey, Marcus, do you want to come over for dinner just because? Everything I gave them, I gave quietly, willingly, and they took it like they were owed. I stared at the ceiling. My chest felt hollow, but not broken. For the first time in my life, I wasn't confused. I saw it for what it was, a pattern. When I was done repeating, 3 days passed before anyone said anything that wasn't a voicemail or a half-baked apology text. That's when my phone rang again. Mom flashing on the screen. I didn't answer, not right away. But the next call came 30 seconds later. Then again, and again. I finally picked up. Marcus speaking. Marcus. Her voice was tight, raw in a way I hadn't heard in years. The gas was shut off. In the middle of winter. Your brother's credit card got declined at the pharmacy, and I just got off the phone with the landlord. He says we're 2 months behind on rent. I said nothing. Just let the silence sit for a beat. You need to fix this. No, I said, calm as a surgeon. I don't. A sharp breath on the other end. What do you mean? You don't. We're your family. You owe us. There it was. That word. Oh. Like I was a debtor who'd skipped a payment instead of a son who had spent the last 10 years keeping their heads above water. I stood up from the couch and walked to the window. Snow drifted lazily down, coating the parking lot in a soft, silent white. Mom, I said, I paid off the back taxes on the farmhouse last spring. Remember that? You never said thank you. Silence. I fixed the plumbing, replaced the water heater, took time off work to do it myself because you said hiring someone local was too expensive. I covered Ezra's rent for months. I bought his domain name, paid for his business license. That gas card, I set that up when you said you couldn't afford to make it to the grocery store and back without rationing. Marcus, I was at every birthday party, every holiday. I brought the turkey. I brought the wine. I brought the damn folding chairs. And every time, you smiled and said, you're so generous, Marcus. Like it excused not giving anything back. Marcus, please. Now you're calling because the money stopped and everything's falling apart. So no, I don't owe you. Her tone turned sharp. You're being selfish. I closed my eyes. Let the words wash over me like cold water. Yeah, I said. I am. For the first time in my life. She gasped like I'd slapped her. You can't just walk away. We're your family. I opened my eyes and stared out at the snow. You didn't want a son. You wanted a silent sponsor. Well, the sponsorship ended. Call Ezra. Or better yet, don't. Let him figure it out. Her voice cracked. You don't mean that. I do, I said. I meant every word. Then I hung up. The phone didn't ring again that night. And for the first time since that freezing porch on New Year's Eve, I slept straight through till morning. I knew something was up when Ezra called me bro. He hadn't used that word in years. Not since high school, when we still shared snacks and bunk beds and our mother's occasional praise. Now he only called when he needed something or was pretending he didn't. Hey, bro, he said, real casual. Listen, we're having a little get-together at the house this weekend. Mom thought you should come by. You know, talk things out. I didn't answer right away. You there? I'm here, I said. So you want me to come mediate the collapse of your lives? Is that it? Don't be dramatic. I smiled. I'll bring coffee. Saturday afternoon. I pulled into the driveway I once helped pay to repave. The farmhouse looked smaller somehow, not in size, in stature. The shutters were crooked, the porch sagged on one end. The snow had melted to reveal the wear beneath it all. Ezra met me at the door. His hair was messy, shirt wrinkled like he'd slept in it. The smell inside hit me, something sour, like mildew and microwave leftovers. Mom was on the couch, arms folded, jaw tight. Aunt Jackie sat beside her, for once not holding a wine glass. Even Dad, who usually stayed in the background since his health went downhill, was there, perched at the edge of his recliner, eyes sunken. The tension hit me like a brick wall. Ezra cleared his throat. "So we're all here," he said, fake upbeat. "Let's just get everything out." I stayed standing. "You want me to fix things, Ezra?" He flinched. "I want to understand why you decided to throw a grenade into our lives." I looked around. I didn't throw a grenade. I stopped being the generator. Y'all just forgot you were living on borrowed power. Mom straightened up. "You don't need to be cruel." "No," I said. "Cruel was you telling me I was mistaken when I showed up on your porch. Cruel was Ezra calling and saying it was a group decision. Cruel is watching your own mother turn you away from the house you helped save from foreclosure." Ezra rolled his eyes. "We just needed space, man." "No," I said, calm and slow. "You needed the perks of me without the presence of me." Aunt Jackie opened her mouth, but thought better of it. "For once, you all thought I'd keep showing up, keep swiping the card, keep fixing the pipes and signing the checks and being the reliable one." "You are the reliable one," Mom muttered. I turned to her. "You didn't treat me like a son. You treated me like a safety net. Like I didn't need love or respect, just a breakdown every now and then to keep the donations coming." Ezra laughed once, hollow. "Okay, fine. Maybe we leaned on you too much. Maybe we messed up, but you don't get to act like you're innocent." I looked him dead in the eye. "You don't want me. You want my income." Silence. "You want the guy who kept the lights on, not the guy who sat alone on his birthday. You want the guy who fixed your credit, not the guy who never got invited to the barbecue." No one spoke. I walked to the mantel, where last year's family photo still sat. Me taking the picture, naturally, not in it. "You know what I am," I said, picking it up, turning it to face them. "I was your investor, not your son." I set the frame face down on the table. "I'm out." And then I left. No dramatic exit. No slammed doors. Just me, walking out of a house that hadn't been a home in years. Back in my apartment, I didn't feel triumphant. I felt still. That weird, unsettling quiet that follows a storm. The kind that makes you wonder if it's really over or just pause. I went to the kitchen, poured a glass of water, and sat on the edge of the bed. My mind replayed it all. The porch, the calls, Ezra's blank expression when I called him out. They hadn't denied any of it. They just danced around it, like I was the one being difficult. I pulled out my phone, flipped to the voicemail folder, and paused at one I'd saved. It was from that first night. "Ezra," slightly buzzed, half laughing. "Can you believe he actually showed up? Dude still thinks paying for our overhead means he's in the inner circle." Then a pause, and a louder voice. "Aunt Jackie's maybe? He'll figure it out eventually. Or not." A chuckle from Ezra. "Either way, it's cleaner without him." That one stung. I'd saved the message thinking maybe, someday, I'd confront him with it. But after the farmhouse showdown, I knew confronting him wouldn't change anything. So I did something else. I opened the family group chat, the same one they'd used to plan Ezra's business launch, organize birthday parties, and once debate for 3 hours about what brand of paper plates to use at Thanksgiving. I attached the voicemail. No caption, no warning, just the audio file. I hit send and locked my phone. 5 minutes passed. 10. Then the floodgates opened. First from Mom. "Mom, this has to be a misunderstanding." "Mom, again, Marcus, please. We were drinking." "That doesn't mean it's true." "Ezra, wow. Are you serious right now? It was a joke. A bad one. You're really going to take it that far?" "Dad, you're being fragile. This is how families joke." "Fragile?" That one almost made me laugh. The man who never once told me he was proud of me calling me fragile. Like I was the one who needed a reality check. My phone buzzed again. More excuses. More half apologies wrapped in blame. I stared at the screen for a long moment. Then I opened the chat settings. Leave group. Block group messages. Done. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was peaceful. For the first time, they weren't talking at me. I wasn't defending myself. There were no explanations left to give. They showed me exactly who they were. And I finally believed it. They showed up 3 days later. I'd just gotten back from the gym, still in sweats, earbuds in, the smell of snow and steel in the air, when I saw them through the peephole. All 3 of them. Dad in his Sunday coat, Mom holding a folder, Ezra wearing his guilty face, which by now I could recognize from 50 feet. I almost didn't answer, but something told me this was it. Their final play. I opened the door and leaned against the frame. Didn't expect visitors. Dad stepped forward. "We need to talk." "Inside." "I'll save you the trouble," I said. "You're not getting another dollar." Ezra shook his head. "You're still stuck on that." "No," I said, calm. "I'm free from it." Mom exhaled sharply and held out the folder. "Then let's talk about the house." I raised an eyebrow. "What house?" "The farmhouse," she said. "The deed. We know it was in your name, but you wouldn't want to be the reason your family gets evicted, would you?" "Oh, there it was. The real reason they were here." Dad crossed his arms. "You put that property under your LLC when you helped us with the taxes, which means it's technically yours." "That's right," I said, not flinching. "You've been living rent-free on it for almost 3 years." You never said anything about that, Mom said, eyes narrowing. Because I wasn't planning to charge you. Back when I thought I was part of the family. Ezra threw his hands up. Come on, man. You'd really kick your own family out over this. You kicked me out first. Silence. I stepped back, just enough so they could see the living room, the clean walls, the single couch, the small table I built myself, the shelf of books I hadn't touched in weeks. Nothing extravagant, just mine. You made it clear I was an investor, I said, voice flat. Not a brother, not a son. You said you were done with revenge, Dad snapped. So what do you call this? I smiled, but it didn't reach my eyes. I call it a correction. We could go to court, Mom said. You know that, right? You could, I said, folding my arms. But I've got the paperwork, the emails, the property records, the tax filings. And I'm guessing you don't want that kind of scrutiny. Ezra looked down. We didn't mean for it to go this far. But it did, I said. And now you're here, trying to guilt me into fixing a mess you made. Dad tried one more time. We built that home. No, I said. I paid for it. I maintained it. You just lived in it. Another silence. Then I delivered the line I'd been holding in since New Year's Eve. This place was never yours. Just like I never truly belonged. I watched them flinch. Not from volume, but from truth. Then I shut the door. This time, the lock clicked louder than the knock. The silence after the showdown didn't last long. Not in a family like mine. It started with a text from a neighbor. Not one I was close with. Just someone who used to wave when I visited the farmhouse to fix something. Cynthia from next door. Hey Marcus. Not trying to get in the middle of anything, but I figured you'd want to know. The house is empty. Movers came last weekend. Whole place is dark now. Then another one. Cynthia again. Your mom told everyone it was your fault. That you left them stranded. Your dad won't even talk to Ezra. I guess he blames him for the whole mess. I stared at the message, reading it twice. Then once more for good measure. That farmhouse had been in our family for generations. But no one had cared to keep it afloat until I did. And the second I stopped, it all came crashing down. I didn't feel smug. I didn't feel much of anything. Over the next few days, more updates trickled in from people who had nothing to gain by telling me. Ezra was working at a local grocery store now, bagging items for the same people he used to brag about managing digital campaigns for. The business I funded was gone. Site offline. LLC dissolved. No soft landing. Just vanished. Aunt Jackie had moved in with a cousin in Florida. Apparently the utilities being cut off was her last straw. And the farmhouse? Repossessed. Bank foreclosure, just like the one I saved them from before. Only this time, there was no Marcus-shaped checkbook to bail them out. I got a voicemail from someone I didn't recognize. Hey, I think you used to live at address? I just bought it. Your name's on the old repair records. Wanted to say thanks. The plumbing's actually great. I smiled at that. A small one, but it stuck. Then came the final text. Mom, we lost everything. Please come home. That was it. No, we're sorry. No, you were right. Just 5 words. Like I was the missing puzzle piece and not the one they'd thrown out in the snow. I didn't even open the message fully. Just saw the preview and deleted it without reading the rest. That night, I sat at the kitchen counter with a glass of water and stared out the window. The world outside kept turning. Cars drove by. Snow fell. People kept living their lives. And for the first time, their problems weren't mine. I wasn't on the hook to fix them, to pay them, to be their patchwork in silence and guilt-ridden lifeline. They collapsed under their own weight, and I'd finally stepped aside to let them. It's strange how quiet peace can be. Not the kind that comes after an argument, that tight, eggshell silence. This was different. This was steady, solid, mine. I started doing little things I'd never made time for before. Cooking actual meals instead of microwaving frozen stuff. Taking evening walks around the block. No headphones, just listening to the breeze and the sound of my own steps. Reading again, not headlines or emails, real books. Stories where the problems weren't mine to fix. The apartment, once just a place I slept between work trips and emergency repairs, started feeling like home. One afternoon, while cleaning out the hall closet, I found an old photo album wedged between a box of tools and some outdated paperwork. I didn't remember packing it. Probably came from the farmhouse the last time I patched their roof. I sat on the floor and flipped through it. Pictures from when Ezra and I were kids. Camping trips. Christmas mornings. A few birthdays with crooked hats and melted cake. And then the gap. The years when I was behind the camera. When I was there, but not seen. When my role had quietly shifted from son to sponsor. I closed the album gently and slid it back onto the shelf. Not with bitterness. With closure. Later that week, I stood by the window with a mug of coffee, watching fresh snow begin to fall. The world outside looked untouched, like a blank page. Quiet. Still. Honest. My phone buzzed on the counter. Just once. No name. Just a number I didn't recognize. But I didn't have to. I knew the rhythm of their desperation by now. I reached for it, thumb hovering over the screen, and then I pressed the power button. Screen black. Was gone. That sound used to send my heart racing. Another request. Another crisis. Another hole only I could fill. Not anymore. I stood there for a long moment, sipping my coffee, watching snow dust the world clean. Alone. Yes, but not lonely. Not anymore.